And welcome back, everybody, to today's edition of the ARCC Thursday Night Road Race. We're just going to go real quick over to their event, Thursday Night Road Race. And let's see, Reverse Watopia, 4 laps with no neutral. So in 1 minute or so from now, we are going to see the start of the race, and they are going to go right from the gun. There is no neutral rollout on this race. 4 laps. They are starting promptly right at 2 o'clock my time, or 20 UTC. Promptly, meeting location is a start-finish line, and the basic 5 is preferred for the dress code, but we have all kinds of other riders in other attire. We'll be using automatic clock, sync down, count web page. So there's a web page that's actually for the countdown. I'm going to go ahead and go to it right now. And 4, 3, 2, 1 is what I am seeing on that page right now. And the start should be going right now. And there they head off. And hopefully everybody had that open. If I were racing this race, that's what I would be looking at right now. I would be looking at the start clock on that browser and not actually on Zwift, and I would have started pedaling and then changed over, done whatever I could to have that clock in front of me on a browser, on my phone, whatever it is. And in my opinion, it is on the rider completely to have that. I mean, see, because now the go comes through, which is way, way later from when the go, and so do not pay attention to the game. The game is not where you should be looking for the go. You should be looking at the start clock that is on the events page, guys. So use the start clock on the events page. Read the rules of the event. Like any other event, it is on the rider to know the rules of the event that you have signed up for. And you should have that clock right in front of you. It is a globally synced clock. It will show the same time for everyone on that clock. And as the countdown went, everyone just took off. And it looks like right off the bat, we have Frank Garcia absolutely hammering along with D. Fisher here, Fondego, D. Gray, and Law. A nice group forming at the front now. Right away, everything just gets all spread out, and I think that has to do with people maybe not setting up correctly for their start to see when exactly they should start pedaling. Again, we probably will see frustrations a little bit all over the place for that as people still kind of smooth out how they participate in these races. I think it is, personally, I think it is a great way to start a race. Right from the gun, right from the start-finish line, no lead out or anything like that, and just start at a certain time. It's easier that way also to get the winners of the race because you have all the same mileage, at least you should, as you log in and then just roll up to the line. And yep, it is a full-on brawl, Allison. That is correct. No rules in the ARCC. You can use your power-ups anytime that you like. And it looks like the front group now has a solid 19 seconds on any chasers that are out there. And it looks like the C race, it looks like A, Bs, and Cs are kind of already separating themselves out a little bit. We're going to work our way back through the group here as we're seeing there's a chase group, another chase group kind of forming, but all kind of spread out happening. K. Almaz, who already raced the race before, is in here again, it looks like. I believe he already raced the race before, coming out of Norway, riding for PTZ as well. D. Shelley, Wetzel, D. Brown, Chmielewski, Chmielewski, deer rider, not the Chmielewski we're used to seeing out on course, actually. S. Jackson, Mr. Chris Pritchard himself. Chris Pritchard, I wonder if he is in channel right now. Can he hear me? He's hammering the YouTube extraordinaire doing the Zwift YouTube videos. And he is leading up this group of S. Jackson, S. Snail, coming out of Great Britain, riding for the C's as well, in the C group as well. He's leading the chase with R. Jones, McCarthy, and Leader. W leader bringing up the rear between these riders. And it looks like the lead group has a solid 37 seconds or so on that chase group that Pritchard is leading out now at this point. Rasmussen riding a B designation, but at the front end of the AB race. I'm not currently on TeamSpeak. I can open up TeamSpeak if we want to have some co-commentary. I would be completely and totally open to that. And I will always be, if I am on TeamSpeak, in my live stream channel. If you'd like to come in and have any co-commentary and you're currently watching the race, we could do that. We might want to have a time to go over some tests for that in the future, though. Alexis Luge is in the race. We haven't seen Alexis race in a little while, and it looks like he's joining in on the ARCC here. The Frenchman hammering out. I would call him a favorite for this race, along with Mr. Let's see here, Alexis, maybe Durham, who already was in a top 5 or so, I think, in the last race. We'll see what Durham has left in his legs. Oxenham is a serious rider, I know that. We've got Ludendorff here, the German rider, as well. G Leader won the last race, so definitely a favorite here. Neil Law now off the front a little bit, just a few meters, maybe creating a little bit of a gap between him and the rest of the riders at 182 beats per minute, though. Absolutely. Durham is pronounced Durham. Thank you, Duncan Thorpe. I appreciate that. Pronounced Durham. And now Fandango putting down 10.2, 11 watts per kilogram, absolutely hammering, along with Schmidheine. This looks to be a calculated attack, and Schmidheine gonna jump on the back of that wheel and maybe get a little, and they got 3 seconds right off the bat. I think Garcia as well is a favorite in this race, as Garcia is just kind of following the moves here, riding for Team X. Team X is well represented in this race with Neil Law, Frank Garcia. Garcia not going to chase down his team member, I would think. And Fandango throwing down a solid effort before they even hit the climb, maybe trying to get a little bit of a gap before they hit the climb so that he can have something to work with if not confident in the climbing ability. A lot of times riders will try and get a little bit of gap so that they don't have too much pressure up and over the top of the super steep 7 to 8% grade, make it with the group, and then are able to hang on all the way through the rest of the course. And so Fandango with about 2 seconds on the rest of the group now. 5.2 watts per kilogram. We'll see if that attack was something serious or if it was just a little bit of a buffer for himself. At 169 beats per minute, I think he may be suffering a little bit from the effort that he put out there. Now Luge going to the front with Rasmussen right off the bat here, and it looks like Rasmussen's going to throw down a solid 6.5 watts per kilogram. Alexis Luge now, the Frenchman, 8.2, 8.2, 8.2. Solid attack coming from Alexis here. Let's see if we can get a good shot of the race here. A little bit of a gap between Alexis, Fandango, Rasmussen, Bidney, and Garcia, and Law 2 seconds back as well. It is all kinds of stretched out, as you can see behind these riders as they crest over the top here. 1 second, there's that 1 second gap, and then 2 seconds to these riders right here. Then you've got about 3 to 4 seconds to these next riders with Rasmussen and the others here chasing. And Rasmussen throwing down a solid 7 watts per kilogram to try and get back on terms with the riders up front. We've got some elastic snapping right off the bat. And we'll see, where is G Leader. G Leader won the race last time, and I'm not seeing him in and amongst these riders right now, though. Fandango, Bidney, Schmidheine, Garcia, Oxenham, L. Anthony's, Ludendorff, Neil Law, Rasmussen, Mosbeck, all here absolutely hammering to not allow that elastic to snap on himself. And they are all spread out, and now they all come back together. The group is formed at the front. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 riders, with Anthony's just getting back the Dutch rider with the German Ludendorff. Ludendorff just trying to get back on terms with Law, jumping on his wheel as well. I think we'll have a lead group of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe 10 riders, or so, with Schmid-Heine here on the front of the course. They're about to pass up Mr. Ballas here, riding for vintage and in the bicycling kit. Promo is Go Vision, promo code Go Vision, Ballas. But that does look good on you there too, though, Ballas. Go Vision. And here we go with Garcia, Anthony's 10 riders on the front now. Law, though, and Ludendorff still 6 seconds back. I'm not sure they're going to catch these riders as they have fallen off the back of this race now. Mosbach, Davis, Law, Neil Law's son, Neil Law's son is hammering along here with this chase group. Third group out on course. The chase group proper is Neil Law and Ludendorff. And now the third group on course containing his son, Law, along with, let's see here, Melty, Nalo, Lavery, Canadian rider here, Maltinello, lead woman rider out on course. Mosbach, T. Davies, D. Fisher, E. Law, D. Gray, and Durham just hanging on the back, who has already raced a solid ZTR race today at this point. And now we have D. Gray, T. Jones, and Rasmussen. Oh man, the mountain biking is real. Again, rider down. The team car has to get him going again. Looks like he's completely lost connection and has 0 watts per kilogram at this point. Flat tires, crashes all over the place today. And I think most likely there was some sort of a disconnect, went off course, and then a complete disconnect, and has lost all. And now it's turned around. I don't know. It was probably slamming on his keyboard and ended up turning around. We'll have to go back to my rider to pick up anything here. And now we have the front of the race here. It looks like the front of the race has gotten a solid almost 30 seconds on the rest of the riders as the chase group of Melting Talo, the Canadian rider, woman rider, putting out a solid 4 watts per kilogram. That is a professional level woman's watts per kilogram if she can do that most of the day. We'll have to look that up and see if that matches as it is on Z-Power. I'm not sure she's actually racing with them though. She has no ARCC next to her name, maybe just hanging out with the rest of the riders. We'll work our way back here. We got D. Jones representing Vision. Thanks a lot for representing Vision, D. Jones. Really appreciate it. If you want to ride in the Vision kit, again, you guys, the promo code is GoVision. I'll show you just how to do that. You press P, you push in GoVision, and it shows that it's a valid entry, and you press Enter, and it will unlock your Vision kit. D. Jones now, along with C. King, trying to bring in the riders up front, the chase group out on course. And so this is the third group on course, trying to bring in the riders up ahead. And now we have P. Harrison, M. Starter, Jackson, Snail, Fuller, Pritchard, trying to bring in these riders up ahead. So this is the lead of the C's now, it looks like. So Harrison and Starter are 2 seconds up, and Pritchard is dragging these guys back in. The lead of the C's, I believe, out on course. We can move up just a little bit to see if I'm correct about that. And no Albone though. Nope. And it looks like King actually is the lead of the C's. My apologies. King is the lead of the C's. I think, no, we have Seabird now here, who is on the back end of working along with T. Jones. Seabird working along with T. Jones, hammering along to try and bring in that chase group out on course. And so it looks like Burr is the lead of the C's. Not sure the designation though of a C is correct. 5.5 watts per kilogram, hammering out here, able to hang on with the ABs. And this is where we are all super excited and looking forward to having race mode and classifications within game as people are able to work up their classes over and over again. Highly suggested, I think, to have some sort of a racing categorization as people enter races in race mode and are able to work their way through the ranks in Zwift. And it looks like those guys were able to get on terms with the rest of the riders. T. Jones along with Burr. Only 18 seconds back. And it looks like Jones just rode right through that group at a solid 5 to 6 watts per kilogram. Elaw now 4.1 watts per kilogram, right around with his dad. That's great to see these two working together at this point. Awesome to see. Thumbs up to them. Watching the father-son hammer on this chase group that is about 21 seconds back from the leaders of this race. D. Gray along with C. King here. Gray has dropped off King at this point, both riding for VCM. These guys are teammates, but Gray is having no love lost between the two as he attacks right through. And now we'll work our way back here. M. Albone, Jackson, Bierland, Snail, Harrison, Jones, Fuller, Pritchard, McCarthy. McCarthy, though, holy cow, what is happening there? We'll just leave it here to have some fun for a second. I have never seen anything like this. This dude is in hyperspeed mode, traveling through time. I think he found the TARDIS, boys and girls. We have found the TARDIS in Zwift. We don't know where he is, and we'll just go ahead and go back to my avatar and try and work our way through. Apologies if that hurt anybody's eyes out on course. And so now working our way back here, D. Jukes along with Bossart, Brown, and Rhodey. Let's see here. I'm trying to work our way through all the BC riders and see if we can get back to the front of the A, working our way backwards. And Wallace coming out of Great Britain. Jay Reeves hammering it out in the C race. G leader for the ARCC Bs. He won their last race. I'm not sure, maybe just taking it easy today, but definitely not hammering at this point. Jackson now looking, we'll stick with this group with Pritchard for a little bit here. Jackson attacking the group at 6 watts per kilogram up and over the last climb in the SEs, followed by Jones, Snail, Fuller, Starter, and Pritchard. Pritchard at 172 beats per minute, I think, suffering here for those attacks that he was doing up and over the top of the first climb. Fuller now trying to drag back Jackson, 1 second back off of Jackson. Jackson on the back end here. It's a real attack as these guys are going to get away if nobody responds. But at Jones, just coming over the top here at 0 watts per kilogram, maybe resting his legs a little bit. Nobody willing to really put the effort in that it takes to get away from the group. And it looks like King and Gray have gotten back on terms with each other and have an agreement here to maybe work together again. The two VCN riders hammering out a solid 3.2 watts per kilogram to try and hold off the chasers that are about a minute back. As you can see, M Starter 1 minute back on the right hand side of the screen. And King going with the Buffalo bike, looking for a little extra wattage coming from that Buffalo bike that was from the charity event that the WBR ran last weekend, where we rode over 100,000 miles total between all of the Zwifters on course for that 24-hour period. Now D. Gray coming through at a solid 5 watts per kilogram, taking a pole at the front, making Chris have to work a little bit to grab that wheel though. Chris, I'm not sure if it's Chris King, sorry, C King, Chris King, the hubs manufacturer coming through my brain, obviously, in that knee-jerk reaction to say that it's Chris King. Lavery Team X, along with Davis Law, Alexis Luge off the front of this. So this is the chase group that we're looking at then here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 riders. 8 riders in this chase group. Neil and his son Elaw, Junior X in this group, hammering out the wattage per kilogram to stay strong, hang tough with these boys. As it looks like these guys are about to hit the front. The front of the race is about to hit that climb though. And it's going to be Bidney on the front here at 4.2 watts per kilogram. We'll see what kind of fireworks fly at this point. And I did get some messages coming through YouTube and a few other places from people watching the replays talking about Z-Power and comments I've made on Z-Power. The reality is, guys, Z-Power is an estimation of power. I know that power meters and smart trainers are estimations as well, but those estimations are within 2 to 10% and very, very trackable. And Z-Power is an even further removed estimation, and so it is valid to a point, and we have seen some pretty good comparisons when people do get on real power meters, but we're just trying to call it as we see it. We're not trying to shame anybody with Z-Power that is doing anything, but if you're not putting out if you're putting out pro numbers, or you're putting out efforts that look like they are professional grade or beyond professional grade, beyond even what we know a guy like Nibali, Froome, or Contador can do in a Zwift training race, yes, we are going to second guess those numbers. And so for racing, you know, you can race, it's all for fun, it's all for kudos, it's all for the workout, and it actually makes the other riders around you stronger to try and hold your wheel when you have a robot like a power output. But at the same time, we're going to call it like we see it. And I apologize if anybody had their feelings hurt or anything like that. I do have a pretty good eye as a coach for over 10 years and a professional rider myself at the top level in the nation that uses power every single day for what is real and what is not real. And we'll call it like we see it here because that's how it should be. And it's also just best for everybody who's involved just to kind of know that, hey, you know, you might be doing really well in these races and you might be, you know, having a result in people's minds. But these are all races that are not actually, they're community organized and they're for fun and they are for the enjoyment of everybody to get a good workout while racing. But they're not classified, and at the same time, they, you know, it is best for you to know, I think, that your power isn't real if it's inhuman, or beyond what maybe you probably could do if you had a real power meter, and it's really good for you to know that. It's good for you to know what the objective is, what the objective looking down in would actually be. And if you really think you can throw down those kinds of numbers, go get tested and see if it's real. Real easy to borrow somebody's power meter or go use a smart trainer over at a local shop and see, oh, let's see if this matches up with what I'm throwing down as an average power in Zwift and in these training races. Al Anthony's now on the front end of the race. The Dutchman at 4.2 watts per kilogram, 172 beats per minute, 295 watts. Throwing down a pretty good pace, but it isn't super high-end attacking pace. These guys are looking not super comfortable, but also not in full-on attack mode as they finish up this second of 4 laps. 2 laps down and 2 laps to go as they're coming up and over the top of this KOM climb. We do have a lead group now of, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 riders. 8 riders in this lead group. Oxenham just be able to hang on here. Alexis Luge, 5.6 watts per kilogram. No heart rate going on for Alexis right now, so we don't know how much suffering that he is doing at this point. Oxenham at 5.4. Schmidt-Heine just sitting in and getting the super draft going on at 0 watts per kilogram at 174 beats per minute, getting a little bit of reprieve. Luge working his way back up toward the front. T. Jones hammering on the front at 4.2 watts per kilogram. No heart rate, and made a monstrous effort to come back in. Again, Jones, we had a little back and forth, I think, and Jones using the Z power. We'll see how things work out here for him at the end of the race. He had to put in a huge effort probably to get back on terms with this front of the race, being a solid 30 seconds to a minute back, I think, at one point. Now Pete Cavendish, 1:19. So the chasers are well over, almost 2 minutes back. This is the chase group containing Ludendorff, T. Davis, Seaburr, Lavery, Neil Law, Mosbach, and it doesn't say Nathan Guerra on there, but I'm not a part of it. Mosbach just falling off, 3 seconds off, absolutely having to hammer. Give him a ride on. Good job, Mosbach. 172 beats per minute. These guys are pushing the heart rate out. Absolutely killing themselves to try and get back into contention here. And Mosbach still growing 5 seconds, and it doesn't look like he's going to be able to close the gap on the downhill. T. Davies now creating a little bit of a gap between him and Lavery now too. There are 2 seconds between this front 4, and Law and his son, they're going to have to work pretty hard to bring this back, as Seaburr and Davies rode right up to this group and right on through it again. And so again, we're looking at solid wattage per kilogram being put out over and over again by these riders. See Melting Talo, Burr, and Davis hammering out the wattage to try and get off the front of this group. And so we have how many riders here? Let's see here. I am seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 riders in this group. 7 riders in this group. Mosbach is now 15 seconds off the pace. 15 seconds off the pace. He's going to have to work really hard to get back in contention. I don't think that's going to be happening at this point, seeing... don't throw in the towel, buddy. Come on, ride on, man. Maybe he has to call it a day for some reason, though, as something might be happening in real life, calling him away from the bike. And now let's see if we can work our way back a little bit. I'm not seeing anybody behind my avatar at this point. Huge gap to the next riders out on course. So we'll go ahead and try and get... Here we go with M. Elbone. M. Elbone D-Loss, coming out of the Netherlands as well. And leave it to the Americans. Come on, buddy. And now S. Jackson, R. Jones, Pritchard trying to chase down Loss and Elbone at this point in the C race. And I think this is still the front end of the C race almost. They are chasing, let's see here, King and Elbone actually at VCN. King was the front C runner, jumping on the back of D. Gray here. So here we go. This is the actual front of the C race with the B rider on his team working together with him now at this point to try and hold off the chasers, who are about 40 seconds back now. 40 seconds back to Jackson, Pritchard, Harrison out on course. Durham, I'm not sure if Durham is gone. I'll take a look and see. I haven't seen him in a while now at this point. See if we can get the course to populate a little bit here right behind this rider, as there are a bunch of riders right behind him, but the course isn't populating for us just yet. Here we go. Moman just about to start his climb. D. Carruthers riding for Vision Cycling. ZTR, thanks a lot, buddy. Let's see here. Crank Addicts, Rutherford. We've got Allison of 4. That's 4:58 back though, so that is not the front of the race. Here we go. So Allison riding in the Vision kit, representing Vision Cycling. Rock on, Allison. And right behind her is the front end of the race. Schmidheine, Alexis Luge, Anthony's. I'm not seeing Durham. Durham was in the chase group. Durham. Apologies again. And we'll try and see if we can find Durham, who was in this chase group. And I think maybe it called it a day as he was doing a double header. And that is a huge effort to try and do, especially for a 15-year-old with not as much of the glycogen stores and endurance in the legs as a lot of these older riders. So being a junior, maybe a good idea to drop out and rest and recover for the weekend. I think there are some bigger events going on this weekend as well that some people are going to get into. So now the chase group is being head up by Ludendorff and Lavery. Solid attack by him. Not a serious attack, but solid effort up on the front. Making the gaps open up a little bit as we see 1, 2, 3 second gaps. Those are real efforts that people have to put in to close those down. And I think that the group is definitely hurting having to put in those kinds of efforts. Please put on a heart rate monitor if you're going to be using Z-Power, guys, as we see no heart rate there and we have no idea what is actually going on. N-Law now here at 3.6 watts per kilogram, 180 beats per minute, absolutely hammering along with his son at 175. These two putting out some serious effort with 167 coming out of Ludendorff. Alexis Luge now here in this front group, 108 up from that chase group now out on course. P. Jones at 292, Schmidheine, L. Anthony's, and then there's Allison throwing down, trying to hold these boys off about 12 seconds back. Come on, Allison, beat them up the climb. Anthony's throwing down 5 watts per kilogram and creating about a 2-3 meter gap. There is still a draft on Anthony's no at this point, so he is not going to be creating any kind of gap before they hit the climb. They are into their 3rd lap. This is their 3rd lap out on course, their penultimate lap. I think some fireworks are going to fly up and over the top of the climb here. Now Alexis at 6.2 watts per kilogram up and over the top of this little kicker here. And not creating too much of a gap. I don't think it's a real attack. I think it was just a little bit of an effort to try and be at the front and also just kind of responding to the reality maybe of his smart trainer. As a lot of times it's hard not to put out a solid 5 to 6 watts per kilogram if you have the smart trainer set up correctly. And we'll keep it right here on these riders now at this point as they are definitely hammering and they are about to hit the climb out on course. We're going to see what kind of fireworks are about to fly. As we see this chase group has closed down. It looks like the front group is relaxing a little bit and the chase group has been able to close down the gap a little bit to 108. I think it was up to 130 or so at one point. But now it is opening up a little bit more again. It is because it is actual time between them and the other riders on course, and as they go through different kinds of undulations and stuff, the speed of the front group will cause a little bit of a gap to open up more and more, and then it'll close down when they hit a climb, etc., etc. And so there is a proper 115 or so gap between the chasers and the lead group at this point. When this lead group does hit the climb, that gap will come down. And we will see if these guys in the chase group, anybody can throw down a real solid attack to try and bridge that gap up to the leaders. Allison hanging tough with the boys here. Let's see if she can follow as the fireworks start to fly. Alexis Luge now here on the front at 5.4 watts per kilogram. We're going to go ahead and take this view to see what kind of gaps open up as he is going to go ahead and keep that 5.5, 5.6, 5.7, 5.8 watts per kilogram, 6 watts per kilogram. See if he pushes it up into 400 or 500 watt range. That's a serious attack. Oxenham, and now he is bringing it into the 400 watt range at 7 watts per kilogram. Hammering. A little bit of gap to Fandango. Garcia falling off just a tad. Anthony's as well falling off just a little bit. Garcia trying to respond, it looks like, though, at 9 watts per kilogram. Solid effort coming from him, as he looks to be the one that's going to close the gap down. We'll probably see him come into view 2 seconds back, though. Lexus able to hold a solid 7 watts per kilogram all the way through. I'm not sure that the gap is going to be closed too quickly, as this is a really killer attack coming through here. Garcia now, you just see him come into view and grab that back wheel, and it looks like Bidney coming along with him and going right on by him. Whoa. And now Lou's responding to Bidney coming out of Denmark at 11 watts per kilogram or so, and Bidney at 162. Bidney definitely a strong rider sitting at 162, and it looks like Tony N is not a part of this race. 162 beats per minute coming from Garcia. Alexis hammering out. We don't know how much suffering is going on as far as heart rate goes, but it looks like Heine about 2 seconds back. Anthony's trying to get on terms, just a few meters off. They need to get back into the slipstream, though, if they are going to stay with it, as Jones and Bidney are going off the front. These riders may just allow those attacks to go, though, and allow the Z-Power to have their own, a race of their own, as sometimes it just feels nearly impossible to respond to those kinds of attacks. And that usually is written into the rules, just so everybody knows, or is an unspoken rule that sometimes riders who are on real power and riders who are on Z-Power just naturally separate themselves, and the Z-Power race against themselves and the real power race against themselves, and then you just have two separate winners, essentially, or podiums at the end of the race. Yeah, Bidney is from Norway. Did I say that incorrectly? I didn't get that right. Bidney is from Norway. Did I say Denmark? My apologies. My apologies. Bidney is from Norway. I do see that now. That is the commentating, speaking too fast, and just something flying out of my mouth. Thank you very much, Sword. Appreciate it. Anthony's now trying to close that gap down, though, to the two riders who are up front. Anthony's followed by Garcia, then Schmid-Heine. Looks like Luge is suffering a little bit from that attack that he threw down, and the elastic is starting to break as they are 4 seconds off. Fandango, Alexis, and Oxenham just on the back there as well. So four riders now chasing, and Garcia and Anthony's trying to work together to bring in the two T. Jones and Bidney off the front now. And chat saying, no, I just secretly love Denmark, and I've been turned over by my mod, Mr. Sort. Now Garcia still trying to close that gap down and also make the attack on Anthony's. This is a solid attack at 164 beats per minute, 8 watts per kilogram. Anthony's at 5.4. Not quite the same effort as Garcia is putting and matching up and over the top now. The continuance is what it's all about. I think they are going to catch the two riders on the front. Jones able to throw down a solid 6 watts per kilogram forever at this point, and Bidney just trying to hold on to his wheel, it seems like. 110 RPMs continually. And so T. Jones now and Bidney, 110 RPM, that's just sketchy. I mean, I'm sorry. At least there's a heart rate here and RPM. Just able to wind up and throw down a solid 400. That's not really usually. I mean, I know you're probably suffering, buddy. I know it's hard, whatever you're doing out there, but it's not, I don't think it's real power. Please check the setup, or, you know, try and find a buddy who can borrow you a power meter. Now Anthony's and Garcia now chasing these two down, though. They've got a solid 5 seconds off the front at this point. And 5 seconds over Fandango. Fandango's got his own little gap too as well. And it looks like Garcia is just absolutely hammering himself into the ground, trying to gain back on terms with those two front runners. It is 4 laps. They got 1 lap to go, guys. 1 lap to go, guys. I wonder if he thinks this is the last lap. You still have 1 lap to go. And Garcia, I think, is just continually throwing down huge wattage just to try and get back to the wheel of these two that are up in front of him. And he's done it. He has grabbed back on. And he's grabbed back onto that wheel, and he's going to hang on and get a ride now, it looks like, from these other riders. Anthony's now able to do so as well, coming out of the Netherlands. Great ride to those two. Right on to Anthony's as well as Garcia. Those were some super efforts. And they saying, I'm toast. And now Fandango out in no man's land with Alexis Luge, the Frenchman, trying to chase him down, bringing Oxenham right along with him in his slipstream. You can see him just over there, just over the shoulder here. 2 seconds back, as we see. Here he goes by, Fandango, followed by 2 seconds back, Oxenham and Luge trying to make that juncture up to these riders now. And chasing them down is Schmidt-Heine, throwing down the power-up, trying to make it happen now. Give Schmidt-Heine a little bit of a ride on. Go, buddy. Try and grab those wheels. See if you can get up front. And now a little joke can come from chat as Mr. Sword himself is saying, worst feeling ever. Yes, number 1. Wait, what? 1 more lap. Crap, yep. And we've seen that how many times before as people think it's the end of the race, and it actually wasn't. Video after video coming off of YouTube. And now, last lap. T. Jones is calling out last lap. It is the last lap, and we have Anthony's Bidney and Garcia, and they are all together here. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is going to be a really interesting race, though, to watch it as it plays out. And so now we have, let's see here, 17, 18 seconds. The gap is continuing to rise. We'll just go ahead into a little bit of a background technical aspect to the reality of Zwift. You have, when you have it is just like real life. So if I were to go out and do a ride, or let's talk about the Tour de France, okay? And so in the Tour de France, you have riders out on course, and they get a flat tire, and then they get in amongst the team cars, and they draft, and those team cars, that drafting allows them to continually move their way up. Or some riders come back and allow a rider that they are working for to continually sit on their wheel, and everybody works for that rider to get them back into the group, right? And so, imagine if a team car were to go to the front of the race, or a whole team of riders, or a few different riders who could all hold a solid 4.5 to 6 watts per kilogram for a half an hour straight, went to the front of the race and just sat there while riders were trying to chase the group down. Essentially, when you have Z-Power on the front putting out those kinds of numbers consistently all the way through without having to take any kinds of rests or any kinds of reprieves, and they can just sit there at a steady cadence and just make that happen the entire time through, the riders who are sitting in with real power at 3 to 4 watts per kilogram get a free ride to just get dragged up forward. If you never have to take a rest, and you can just always sit at somewhere between 4.5 and 6 watts per kilogram straight for over an hour, that is always going to bring whoever's with you ahead. And so the gap is opening up. I'm just saying that because I see this gap opening up to Fandango, Alexis Luge, and Oxenham, and I want to just keep it real here and let everybody know about what I'm actually thinking about a few of the other things. I do keep a couple things under my wing still about what I think about a couple of the other power issues that may be in, because this is still all for fun, and this is still all for everybody's training and everything, but we just want to keep it real at the same time a little bit. And it looks like Luge and Fandango, they've got to just, they got to have a little bit of a reprieve here and there. And even Anthony's and Garcia, who have tried to hang on at this point, are unable to match these efforts here. And so my suggestion to these two is just let it go. Because you are racing against the power at this point. Race against the power. But maybe Garcia sees an advantage at grabbing the back of Bidney's wheel and then having a gap on Anthony's and forcing Anthony's then to have to ride up to those wheels while he drafts. Maybe Garcia will just go right on by with a power up and win the race outright. That'd be amazing to see. There is no, I'm getting a question from chat. Is there a difference between having high profile and low profile wheels? Wheels do not cause any difference. There's no difference in riding speed from wheels currently in course, as far as I know. The only difference is TT bikes. The wheels are only cosmetic in course, and the TT bike is the only one that actually changes anything. Bidney now on the front with Garcia following along. Garcia at 165 beats per minute. He doesn't have a lot of beats to work with. I know Garcia beats low. And now Anthony's at 181 at 317 watts, just doing everything he can to get back on terms. This is the final lap, guys, of the ARCC race. So they are about to finish up here. There's an 11-second gap. I don't believe Anthony's is going to be able to close that gap down, but we'll see. It would be a monstrous effort if he could. We've seen Garcia throw down too much too early in the past, and so we'll see if maybe all of a sudden he fades on the climb and Anthony's is going to be able to close that down and bring it up for the first place amongst real power and third place amongst the race. And now the chasers are about a minute back with Fondego, Oxenham, and Luge, and they're all going to be comfortable to look at each other and try and bring it down to a sprint finish, I think, between the three of them now at this point. So that'll be an exciting finish to see out on course. Now Jones, Garcia, and Anthony's, along with Bidney now at this point, and we're about to see the fireworks here out on course amongst these riders here. And here we have Garcia coming around on the left-hand side, and no, Garcia's going to sit in again and not throw down any kind of attack. I expect to see a huge attack into the orange from each of these riders over and over again, all the way to the top of this climb. A 3-minute climb, 3 to 4 minute climb. This is for all the chips now. That's all got to get laid on the table. And here comes Bidney throwing down at 8 watts per kilogram, a solid 160 beats per minute. Jones trying to follow it at 5.6, and it looks like Bidney coming out of Norway is going to have to go full gas all the way up to the top of the hill. Now the steady eddies, though, maybe saying a little bit too much, too early coming from Bidney, and maybe Bidney won't be able to hold that steady power all the way through. Maybe that's the bet. Maybe they're holding a couple cards still close to their chest and going to throw down in a little bit. But Bidney coming out of Norway for SK Rye is definitely hammering out the wattages now. And Garcia comfortable to follow Jones, get a free ride from Jones, and then maybe come around with an attack of his own over the next section, as we do have one really steep, longer section, and then a little reprieve, and then another kicker at 5%. Maybe that second one's where Garcia is going to go, or maybe Garcia just has to hang on at this point and has nothing left at 474 watts, 164 beats per minute. 6.7, and now here it is at 10 watts per kilogram, up and over the top, rests at 2, and we'll see if he does just sit in and get the drag all the way back up. And now it looks like Jones doesn't have anything to respond with at 6.2 watts per kilogram. I think that, yeah, he's on rollers, and so it's just going to max him out at 6.2. He can't go any higher than that. The game will not allow it. He is maxed at 400. Garcia, then, if he wants to beat him, will have to time it correctly where enough space can be created between him and Jones in order to attack and not allow 400 watts to bring him back in. He has to attack and create enough space between him and Jones to not allow that 400 watts to drag him back in, and then be able to punch over and over. And that is a little bit of an advantage that somebody can have on a shorter part of a course where there isn't a lot of time left, where you can attack at 10 watts per kilogram and then 10 watts per kilogram and go open up and open up and open up just enough, but you can't do that all day long. And so there might be a little bit of a tactical advantage here for Mr. Garcia, though, as it will max out Jones at 6.2, and it looks like Jones has seen that the jig is up and that Garcia will just sit on him. And so he is going to rest with Garcia now on Garcia's wheel at this point. Anthony's now trying to bring up the rear at 4.7. This is a all-out TT effort for him to hold off any chasers, with Alexis Luge and Fandango actually bringing in the gap a little bit, only about 20 seconds, but Alexis is going to have to throw down more than 3.8 if he wants to close that gap. And I think all he's worried about at this point is Mr. Fandango and Oxenham, who are trying to chase him down for that other top 10 position. And now Garcia at 5.2, 1 second off. It's really difficult for him at this point. I know 166, 167. He's starting to get up toward the max, where he maxes out on his heart rate. 168. The heart rate keeps rising. It's so hard at this point. He does have it locked up, though, it looks like, for real power out on course. Now the question is whether or not Jones can bring in Bidney at a solid 6.2 watts per kilogram. Well, Bidney throws out not on rollers. This is obviously on a speed sensor. 166 beats per minute, 167, 90, 85 RPM, 284 watts or so. And that is fairly, we don't know anything about Bidney or anything, but probably having somewhat of a realistic Z-Power out on course, but still being Z-Power. But we'll give him a ride on. Nice job to him. And now we've got Bidney descending down through the 20 seconds up. I think he's going to take it, as 20 seconds is allowed. T. Jones, nice job at your 6.2, 400 watts, 100 RPMs. Looking like you're going to take second place today out on course. See if he can close it down at 6.2, though. 20 seconds to Mr. Bidney, and it looks like Garcia is going to fight it out solo for a solo effort now at this point. And now the real interesting race now behind with Anthony's Fandango. Fandango was able to catch Luge and open up a gap on Luge, and now has a solid 12-second gap. Man, things are all over the place, back and forth. Alexis Luge attacked Fandango. Fandango came around for his own counter-attack and was able to put a gap on Luge, as I think Luge was seriously hurting. And now Luge coming up and over the KOM with a 14-second gap. This race is all kinds of spread out. This is really interesting to see, because we don't have any big sprints, actually. Everybody's just kind of out on their own TT effort today in this race. Super, super interesting race to be watching. And now Garcia coming around the bend here, just coming off the climb. Jones at 6.2, closing it down a little bit, though, to Mr. Bidney. T. Jones is solid 6.2, 11, 10. 3.5 is all that this guy's got left from Bidney at this point. 3.0. He's not able to seem to put out much more. And Ewan, I hate you, is coming from chat. Who knows who Ewan is, but somebody hates him out on course. Oh my goodness. And now 2.7. What's happening here? He's just throwing in the towel. 143, 144. Go, dude! He's gonna catch him! What are you doing? What is he? He's throwing the race! 15, 14, 10 meters, 9. What the heck is going on here? Oh my gosh, I don't know. I don't even know. I don't even know. It was that close. I have no idea. Like, what was that? Now Garcia bringing it in. Number one out on course for real power. And I don't know. It was between Jones and Bidney for first on Z-Power. I have no idea. That was crazy. So close. It was like he was trying to make it like a finish right there. Like, what was that? And then Anthony's here bringing it in with Fandango chasing him down. Fandango 20 seconds out. And it looks like Anthony's was then fourth on course. Fandango going on for fifth. Fandango going on for fifth. Luge going to come in for sixth with Oxenham. Oh, maybe not, though. It looks like Oxenham's chasing him. Look at the sprint coming here from Oxenham. Up and out of the saddle, up and out of the saddle, up and out of the saddle, just in the background here. It looks like Luge is just going to be able to hold him off. Oxenham dropping back down to 1.7, realizing that the race is over, having to give up the ghost at this point. But kudos to him. Right on the Luge, right on to Oxenham. Try and get that in there. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. There, thank you so much. And now Law bringing in a solid sprint around the corner here, 9.3 watts per kilogram. C-Burr doing everything he can to get on terms with Mr. E. Law here, the Junior X rider. I think somewhere like 15 years old or something like that. Absolutely hammering. Z on Z power here. Z power against Z power here between the two riders here. And Law, come on, buddy, you got to keep it going. And he just barely gets him right at the line here. Schmidt-Heine now trying to chase down Robinson. I don't think he's going to get Robinson. Schmidt-Heine just coming across the line then. And then Davis here trying to chase down Schmidt-Heine. Not going to get him at the line, it looks like. Davis just able to pull it off ahead of Melting Talo. Melting Talo not going to sprint it out, it looks like, with Lavery. Lavery just going to be able to pull it off ahead of the Canadian rider. Lewendorf then, the German rider, bringing it in here. Nobody on his tail, so it looks like he's going to bring it in and be just fine. The reruns, so guys, just so everybody knows, if you enjoyed the race today, first of all, make sure to hit that follow button below so that you can get updates as whenever I go live. I also have my Twitter and everything right here. These are my socials. I post to both Twitter and Facebook, sometimes Instagram, but usually, oh, what is going on here? Come on, Nightbot, get it together, bud. And now Nightbot is in the channel. We will get the socials up. And so make sure to hit that follow button below. But on top of that, also make sure that you are, maybe if you're not getting updates through that follow button, you can get them through the social medias, as I always post on Twitter as well as Facebook and the Zwift Riders group. I post all over the place about when we are going live. So thank you so much for those of you who have followed. And make sure to come back. We're here every Tuesday and Thursday for sure, and we're going to try and get more and more race coverage coming. We also have group rides here out on course, Vision group rides and other rides on course that we do live here as well. So we do live stream other things besides races. So you want to join in on some group rides, we're going to have super serious Saturdays and Sundays coming where we're doing 3 to 6 hour rides at really high tempo. We're going to have recovery days that we do almost every day. We've got whatever other rides do we have. We got tempo days, we've got regular old endurance days, we've got interval days where you try and hang on for the intervals. So all great stuff that you can get involved in here on the Twitch channel. So make sure to hit that follow button, follow on the social medias for other updates as well. And thank you so much, guys, for joining in. And we will see you tomorrow for a chill, steady tempo ride after lifting.